Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. Each week we make a video about an interesting Path of Exile character build that a player has submitted. This is the 9th video in the series and features a level 73 Marauder called Mike Tyson who can one-hit kill monsters by punching them. In the 0.9.11 patch, we added a variety of new unique items, some of which were designed by players who bought our Diamond supporter packs. We've also been working with Brother Laz, author of the famous Median Exile mod for Diablo 2. He has designed several uniques for Path of Exile, including this item. Facebreaker is a pair of gloves that substantially increases the damage the character deals when it is unarmed. With this specific one here, it's a damage multiplier of almost 11 times. This is in addition to other mods such as critical strike damage, stun threshold reduction, and the extra gore effects that it grants. This type of unique item is one that we call a build-defining unique. The goal of designing uniques like this is that when someone finds one, they realize how cool it would be to build an entire character around it. The character we're demonstrating here does a pretty good job of that, possibly too good. The obvious drawback with Facebreaker is that you're not allowed to have a weapon equipped. However, because your physical damage is multiplied by almost 11 times, physical damage mods on items are almost mandatory. These rings and amulets are good examples of rares with additional physical damage and decent other mods. The unique belt, Meganord's Girdle, is excellent for a Facebreaker build because it not only has additional physical damage, but also an additional 10% life bonus along with its other mods. The final unique that this character uses is the Black Gleam Quiver. Its unique property is that it converts half your physical damage to fire damage. The weapon fire damage is important for this build because of passive skill choices that the player has made. The first thing you'll notice about his passive skill tree is that he grabbed all of the weapon elemental damage passives that are available. This required a considerable investment travelling across the tree, but allowed him much flexibility in where he spends the remaining points. Other than Resolute Technique, which makes it impossible to miss attacks or to get critical strikes, there aren't many other aggressive passives that really benefit this build, so quite a lot of the survivability ones can be picked up. The core attack skill being used is Frenzy, which allows you to gain frenzy charges while fighting. This skill is augmented by weapon elemental damage, added fire damage, and mana leech. Due to the additional fire damage and existing damage conversion from the unique quiver, stacking on top of the 1000% bonus to unarmed damage, the weapon elemental damage support gem and passive skills scale the damage up to be extremely high. In addition, there are two auras that work very well with this build. Both Hatred and Anger add substantial elemental damage which is scaled up in a similar way to your weapon damage. Turning these on grants you an additional 40% damage boost at the cost of reserving some of your mana. This player has also chosen to create a totem which casts the Enfeeble Curse on nearby monsters, reducing the damage they deal. This is pretty effective because you don't need to concentrate on aiming the curse while you're fighting. This character is undeniably powerful. Although it was able to pick up a decent amount of survivability, its main defense is the ability to kill monsters in a punch or two. We've tested it in a variety of high-level maps, and as long as it avoids being pinned down by ranged attackers, it's able to clear large groups of enemies very quickly. After discussing this character in our office, we built a more powerful version using items that this player hasn't worked his way up to yet. The resulting carnage prompted some serious discussion about the interactions between all of the different synergies in play here. We think that we've come up with some solutions that don't nerf the fun of putting together a Facebreaker character, but do prevent it being unfairly abusable. There are two potential upcoming changes in the 0912 patch that affect this build. The first is that there's discussion of whether quivers should affect your unarmed damage if you're not using a bow. We'll probably side with intuition and make it so that quivers only work with bows and not with fists. The second change is that weapon elemental damage will only affect your damage when you are using a weapon, as the name suggests. It's unintended and unintuitive that weapon elemental damage currently affects unarmed attacks. In our testing, Facebreaker builds can still be really powerful even without these tricks, though I suspect this particular character will need some changes. This is probably the first build of the week that is actually being nerfed on purpose due to its extreme power. Congratulations! I'm very interested to see what Facebreaker builds will occur in the future, especially as we add more game elements that work well with unarmed attacks. The Infernal Blow skill, for example, will probably work with your fists in the next major patch. Path of Exile is currently in closed beta. If you'd like to play it before it enters open beta later this year, please buy a supporter pack from pathofexile.com. If you have built a character that you'd like us to feature in one of these videos, just let us know on the forums. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and consider following us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks very much.